Today, Wednesday, the last day of September. How could that possibly be? We're very pleased to have all of you with us, and we're exceptionally pleased to welcome Brandon Chrostowski. Brandon's life's work is based in the belief that every human being, regardless of their past, has the right to a fair and equal future. It is what led him to the founding of EDWINS Leadership Restaurant Institute, the Life Skills Center, and other ventures that provide training and life support for those re-entering our community. He received his own training at the Culinary Institute of America and worked at renowned restaurants in Chicago, Paris, New York, and of course, Cleveland. His dedicated efforts directly impact at least 100 individuals in any given year between the programs he delivers in prisons and at EDWINS Restaurant, and he educates many more through his community outreach. He's a recipient of numerous awards, and I'll mention just a few of them: the Movers and Shakers, Creams, 40 Under 40, Medical Mutual Pillar Award, a CNN Hero, Smart 50, and many, many others. He is an innovative leader who immediately saw opportunity and adapted when the pandemic hit. His own life philosophy of make it happen has served him well in this reinvention of EDWINS, and we're very excited to hear all about it. Welcome, Brandon.
Hi, Mary. Thank you very much. Can you hear me all right? Okay, good. So, well, let's get started. Well, it's good to see everyone's teeth. You know, no one's got a mask on. I can go through the screen. Everyone's dental looks really good today. So, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is a good, a really good spot that I think that has been put on here by Cleveland Leadership and your crew, because it gives everyone a lot of insight to what's going on in different pockets of Cleveland and beyond. And I just want to share with you what's going on in our pocket here in Shaker Square and the EDWINS Institute. So I'll keep it brief what EDWINS is and you know how you can support, and then let's just jump into to COVID and how the strong pivot helped us and allowed us to move forward and continue on our mission. So first and foremost, EDWINS, we're helping men and women coming out of this criminal justice or injustice system. We train to the top with a 6-month training program at a fine dining restaurant, which is French and very sexy. So if you want to take a date there sometime, we're open Monday through Saturday. We also have the bakery and the butcher shop, which is here on Buckeye, just short 2 blocks away from the restaurant. And that's also where our campus is. So if someone needs living or needs to work out or to go to a library, which is what we have right here, they have these amenities as well. So the mission is, helping someone who's trying to fulfill their potential, someone who has that powerful perspective of incarceration. That's a perspective that we value. I believe you wrap a tool and skill around that. Anything's possible in any industry, not just culinary and hospitality. So encourage everyone to get to know us. In any event, so that's what we do here at EDWINS. We also teach in prison. So given that we're a restaurant, this thing called COVID happens, right? And I distinctly remember on March 15th, I think some people on this call, I think there's a Matt Fieldman out there, Jennifer Deckard. We're actually at a meeting we had March 15th, and it was about 4 hours before that the governor shut us down. And I'll never forget it, because it kind of it felt natural. Everything that was happening just felt natural. It's something that we do on a daily basis. Survive, stay connected, all these sort of things. But I definitely sense a feeling of, oh no, like, best of luck, and what we did next was pretty solid. The idea of pivoting, I think, is entrenched in a few things. One, it's not just today you pivot, it's something that's embedded inside of what your culture is or who you are. I don't think that one day, oops, you pivot and everything works. It's almost like a soccer match. You kind of like slowly in the backfield pass the ball and plot your goal, and you hit midfield and everything in the speed increases. So you just have to remember, for 16 years, this thing called EDWINS was incubating. It was building. It wasn't just this overnight success. It was a 10-year overnight success, right? So for a long time, the plot and the play was to how to deepen an education for someone who needs it most. It was how to build this, this education system And so for years and years, there's a building of this system. And when COVID hit, it just happened to be available for us to use. So what do I mean by that? So for years and years, we've extended what we've done here at Edwin's. We've built a butcher shop, we've built a bakery, we've built really a vertically integrated business that during the time of COVID allowed us to sell a meal for a price that was very aggressive, but also kept people employed in all three of the businesses. So we do 4 meals for $40. So we bake our own breads, we do our own desserts, we cook it all in-house, we butcher our own meats, and we're cutting the cost so then we can afford to pass that cost along to others. So the first thing I want to say about this pivot was that it was a long time in the making. The second thing, and probably the most important thing during this time, was always remembering what our center was, what is our core. And the core is always the person who needs it most, right? And that's always been what drives this mission. It's driven what built the campus, is what's driven what's built, all of our expansion, is who needs this most, and then how do we build and put meat around that philosophy. And to me, that was very simple, as we had to survive so that people would stay employed. So on March 16th, the day after the governor closed us down, I had a meeting with staff and said, well, we're going to fight for 3 things. We're going to fight for, our safety and employment, right? We're going to feed Cleveland at a reasonable price. And we're also going to make sure we spread this mission that we have and make sure people understand what we're trying to do and how to do it. So with that kind of force of all those years of building behind it, and this mission which was very focused on doing 3 simple things, we started to cook. Right? As simple as that, we started to cook. The smartest thing I ever did was throw the French food out the window, and we just started doing food that fed the soul. Ribeyes and steaks and lamb chops and burgers and pulled the grill right in front of the restaurant in Shaker Square, where everyone just kind of spins around. They saw this, they smelt it, and the next thing you know, we got busy. I mean, not just busy, but really busy. The one moment I remember best is Harry Boomer from Channel 19 was there reporting, and he was directing traffic with his microphone, and everyone listened to Harry. They wouldn't listen to me. I said, come on, could we move traffic? But Harry got out there, he got it done. And we ended up taking a business that we normally maybe do 100,000, 90,000 a month in. That time of year, we were doing 120, 130, 140,000 in business. Now, our margins weren't as much, but it gave us the opportunity to fight, right? It gave us the opportunity to fight. It was a very simple direction to what we're trying to do, and it kept people employed. So that was the second most important thing, is direction. So you have what you've built, then you have this thing called direction. So you know where you're pitching from. And I think a lot of that also helped our guests and diners. Staying connected to your base is a real important factor here. Personally, I'm on the ground every day. I'm touching, I'm talking, right? I'm not in some ivory tower. And I know many of you are on the front lines talking and, teaching or organizing or managing. When you stay connected to your consumer, you pretty much know what they want. And that's where that switch of the food came in, is just saying, let's just do something wholesome and affordable. And our guests saw the certainty in what we were doing in a time of chaos. I don't think any of us will forget, and nor can we replay this the rest of our lives, what life was like March 15th through April 15th. There'll never be another time in our history or our future or any time that we know we didn't know. We didn't know, and the media was so strong, and people are dying, and there's this fear, there was a good 4 weeks where nobody knew what was going to happen. Which brings me to the third point of what really helped us succeed, is nobody wavered during this time. All my years of being in kitchens in Paris or New York, or going to the Oscars or winning an award, or even having our kids. I'm really proud of having our 2 kids right now. I'm really proud. I don't know if there's ever going to be a prouder moment than March 16th. Everyone on staff just put their heads down and said, Brandon, we believe and we're going to go. And they didn't question it. They didn't look the other way. And my wife wouldn't even let me sleep in the bed when I got home. She thought she was going to contract something. It was so much pressure, but there was no fear in the group of men and women that were at Edwin's. And this is it's a kind of bittersweet because most of the world's turn their back on us for a number of reasons, but we didn't turn our back on the world, no matter what someone said or how dangerous it may have been. And since that day, we've never had one case of COVID, not one case of COVID in the whole place. And we just put our heads down and we went forward. I'll never be more proud than those first 4 weeks when people didn't know if they're going to live or die. Who knows who else's wife was saying sleep on the couch? You know, I don't know what people were going through, but I knew this was it was a scary moment for the family. And but the mission was greater than that. And I think during this time of COVID and talking about pivots, there's so much more extracurricular things at play than just, hey, put out a fancy menu and you have a good mission and blah, blah, blah. It's not that. There's so much more to do with the team you're with. It has to do with the reason that you're doing it and kind of the certainty and tenacity in which you get it done. And what happened next? I mean, I'm not surprised in life. You know, you see a lot of things happen. But I was surprised. I was surprised by this one. You know, the local media took hold of it. The national media caught wind. We had people lined up. If anyone's familiar with Shaker Square, they were lined up from the front of our restaurant in cars, all the way halfway to Largemere, which is a good quarter mile. People were just lined up and just coming out. And that was the best thing you can do is just by doing something. So, you know, that's kind of like the COVID story, the long way and how it was pitched. So I just taught a class at Harvard 2 weeks ago and their business class, and they were trying to wrap their heads around this whole thing. And they said, well, every restaurant in the world it seems like they're failing or this or that. I said, the first thing you have to do is just be sure of what you do and control what you do and do the best with what you can do, right? You can't worry about others' media influence or other this, other that. Just keep your head down. Trust your instincts is another thing. I especially say this to a lot of young leaders is our bodies will feel something and our minds talk us out of it. And March 15th, everything felt completely natural. You know, I felt like I knew exactly what, it felt like an old movie you saw again, like this is exactly what you should do. Everything felt so comfortable and I never let my mind talk out of my body what should be done. And the team, you know, the team did the same, right? We were just all connected. It was just a big connection, all for the sake of surviving, feeding Shaker Square in the community, and spreading our mission. There was just a singular focus on these three things, which was very powerful. So now what's next? Because we all know this isn't over. We all know that there's more to come. So what do you do, right? Now, given that there's a responsibility, I think, with those who are coming out of this with some amount of success or you know are still alive, there's a responsibility to give back and double down on what you do. I believe that also if you have an inch of space, you need to maintain and retain that inch of space and turn it into more, because that's not what you do with your talents, your success. You don't bury it for the world not to see. You put it out there to see. So come November, we're opening another restaurant, and you just have to do one thing. You have to come to EDWINS like in the afternoon when we're not open and look at these 50 men and women who want an opportunity. They're the next stage of our students. They're the next level of our mission. And they're all here because they believe they can do something more. But with half a dining room and pretty soon no patio, right, Cleveland? Like we're not going out in our parkas. There's no patio soon. You have to fight for more. You have to find a way to increase and fight for those that this mission is about, because that's what it's always been about. So we're going to open another restaurant, right? We're going to open another restaurant come November, okay? We're not going to surrender to the fear. We're going to look at the opportunity, you know, right next door, and we're going to fight for those who need it more, because, you know, if anyone on this call has a child or a loved one or a family member, you know that you would do the same thing for them, right? You would find a way to give them an opportunity, because you need to see that growth. You can't let something stop you, including a pandemic, including the fear of failure, including the, you know, whatever the world's saying, you just have to fight. So I feel pretty good right now. I feel pretty good. I'm in good shape. Happy, you know, wife is, you know, ready for another one too. And we're looking to make it happen in Cleveland. So I think, Miriam, you asked me to be done with a relative amount of time for questions. So I'm going to leave it open to questions, and we'll go from there, right?
Great, Brandon. Thank you so much. We've had a few questions come in.
Yeah.
First, can you speak to some of the safety protocols that you've implemented, both for keeping your staff safe, but also for the diners who are coming in to feel safe and comfortable while eating out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at first I mean, we didn't really do nothing. I hate to say it. Like, we were just making sure you washed your hands like they were saying on TV. The mask thing wasn't a thing yet. Like, you didn't really know. I mean, but I'm talking like the first week or two. So I want to talk pre, during, and post. So pre was just whatever information you could do to keep people safe and secure. So we had someone, this is when I say pre, like pre knowing what was going on, we would just make sure things were cleaner, right? Clean our hands, clean ourselves, clean this. We made sure that we kept the bubble that we had, meaning that, we kind of kept to the team that we had and made sure that we were all aware this is a real thing. I think pre, April 15th, let's call it the pre area. I would say that a lot of people, a lot of our students especially, thought this was a hoax. They thought this was like a joke, like, oh, what's going on? If you wanted to find rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer or children's Benadryl, all you had to do was go to Kinsman and go to the dollar store, and it was plentiful, right? Whereas if you went to Target on Warrensville, it was gone. I think there was this idea that this was a hoax, that this wasn't true. So the first thing was educating that this is real. This could affect you or someone you love or someone you know. We don't know details, but we have to take this, one, as serious. So it's identifying it's a real thing. Two, putting protocols and safety measures in place, washing hands, keeping things clean, et cetera, et cetera. As we learn more about it, the masks were the next essential thing, right? Making sure that we're trying to, we're distancing, even in the kitchen setting, we're doing the best in distancing. We have Jan Pro come by and do like a spray of, things that would kind of, clean the surfaces, because we didn't know if it was surface driven, airborne driven. So we started to make investments in that and making sure that we stood there. So now, like, post, I mean, it's essential. You're washing hands, you have gloves, you're distancing, you're wearing masks. We have an air purification system. We're using these MERV filters. I mean, all this stuff is happening at a clip where we just know we need to be smart. Putting a tent in the patio so we can continue outdoor dining. Even the deluge that we had on Monday, it was pouring. We had diners out there. It's making sure our guests know that's safe. We want to be safe and we want to be smart, and not to mention the hand sanitizer and all that fun stuff.
So thinking about the program and some of the learnings that the students take away, do your students learn financial planning so when they graduate, they can begin to try to build that wealth and plan a future?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in this 6-month program, not only do you learn like all the positions in the restaurants and get exposed to, what's going on at the bakery and butcher shop, you're also, day one, you're writing a life plan on what you hope to achieve. We're making sure that you have a bank account, so you direct deposit, an ID, health insurance. We have an independent financial planner come in who is like, he hit it big. He's smart, probably in his 50s, and he just teaches our students on how to budget and, plan for their future. But just understand, this isn't like a, so a lot of people would say, oh my goodness, someone is in prison or someone is black or someone is poor or someone is, they need this. It can't be that like totalitarian used to what you have to do. There's a smattering of options that we present to our students. It's about empowerment, not about dictatorship. So it's saying, hey, here's a way of life to maintain. Now, you have to remember, including myself for a number of years, it's check to check. Okay, it's check to check. To ask me to save, are you crazy? And the little money you do have, the pressures of life, you just want to have a beer, you want to buy a burger, you want something done for you, right? So, it's about really identifying someone and where they're at and where they want to go, and within that comfort level, making sure that you're teaching some fundamental things and some good prescriptive, optional yet noteworthy advice that if you save X amount per this or X amount per that, you could achieve this for your plan. So we absolutely have it. It's much more boutique and tailored than a lot of things and places you might be familiar with. We don't just shove it down your throat and assume that this is who you are or where you want to be. We also do this. We bring in like just smart minds. With someone who has a car dealership comes in and talks about financing of a car and what these corner lots are doing to you with interest. It's all about understanding how the world works, so that you can then navigate this world and succeed in it. Because for the longest time, it's just been kind of this predatory approach to a lot of people in our program.
So as someone graduates from your program, what are some of the opportunities that they might move on to, and how might they have been impacted by COVID over the past few months?
Well, I mean, pre-COVID, we had like 48 or 50 jobs waiting to hire. I think now maybe there's 20 or 30 jobs waiting to hire. I think this is a nationwide topic that needs to be discussed. This is just the issue of unemployment and what money is coming through unemployment versus what most industries are paying. I think that put into question a lot of people returning to work. I'm proud to say that the students that that we know and we correspond with, they're employed, or if they're not, they're looking for work. I'm proud to say that they're taking the high road of getting back and getting this country back into a financial position and on track. Heinen's just reached out a week ago, looking for help. We had another company reached out that does like food demos reach out today. Within the week, there's probably 3 or 4 people that have reached out and have catering companies or jobs that need to be filled at corporations. There's no shortage of jobs, but the question becomes, Rachel, is it the right job? Okay, is it the right paying job? Is it the right culture where you're going to grow? And for that, I really hope, and we strongly advise and suggest our students don't settle for the BS that can be out there in this industry, because there's a lot of BS in our industry. There is in a lot of industries, but here it's pretty thick.
As we look at the past few months, how has your funding been affected by the pandemic, and have you started to see a shift in the sources?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, funding has shifted. The business has had to run more efficient and be do more volume than ever before. I mean, it's really we're serving 12,000 people throughout 5 counties in 2 days here at the butcher shop and bakery. We picked up a contract and we've been we're doing that. It's just been, how much more business can you try to do, because the funding is not as thick as it used to be. So you might say, oh, COVID funding. I don't think, COVID funding doesn't, you can't put a gun to a foundation's head and say, give me money for COVID. It doesn't work that way. We've been in a strong cash position going into this. We've maintained the business and upkeep. PPP is an option, right? The loans, but the funding you haven't seen swell up I believe in the foundation community like you think it would. I still think it's a dogfight in that industry. Individuals, we saw a strong give from individuals. They re-aired the CBS piece in April or March, and so when they re-aired that, we got another shot in the arm. But individuals have stepped up to the most. We had an anonymous $50,000 donation a month ago, and so you see individuals giving more, but as a whole, funding on the philanthropic end is down over last. However, the business is up over last, and we're pretty much like we're here. We're staying level. And anyone in business knows, listen, you can survive. Just, you don't want to hemorrhage. It's okay to bleed. Don't hemorrhage. And then when you have, when it's plentiful, you harbor that, right, for the times that you bleed. So the funding's kind of been an interesting cycle when you think that, or thought that foundations would step up and say, here, we want to see you do this. It's kind of gone in a different direction. Individuals have gone up. Corporations, look, they're trying to survive. I mean, and I don't blame them.
So as you think about some of the innovations that you've pivoted to over the past few months, what of those might stay part of your business plan moving forward?
That's a good question. I think we're just still doing the 4 for 40. We haven't stopped doing 4 for 40 since March. We write a different menu every week. That's been going solid. I want to maintain that. There's still people and families on a strict budget, and there's still a market for this. We're still selling, each night, 200 meals. And so it's not like it's going away. We're going to retain that as long as, we believe the community is going to need that for, and there's a desire for. I mean, we always kind of are in the survival mode. So I think as an approach to doing business and ingenuity, we're not going to change that. I keep fighting for more than the person that needs it most. So there's a lot of things won't change. It kind of affirms it, but the 4 for 40 would stay.
Well, if the comments are any indication, the 4 for 40 is certainly very popular. So I think many people on the call will be happy to hear that it will be sticking around. We had a question come in. How has your partnerships with the correction facilities potentially changed since COVID has hit?
So, yeah, I mean, they pretty much put the kibosh on coming into the walls, right? I mean, they don't want people coming in that could transmit COVID and spread it. So we've been doing a lot more, kind of like the garden. We still keep up the grafting garden. In terms of curriculum, it's just about making sure people are aware that it's available at all 30 prisons. We've started a relationship with GTL. These are the individuals who, pretty much charge you for your phone minutes when you call to a prison, or they supply all the tablets around the country, so inmates can have a tablet and communicate on this and do certain things. And we're uploading our curriculum, textbook, and 20 hours of lessons. So nationwide, people will be able to do that. So we're just looking for a different approach of how to get into the walls, because the hope cannot stop, right? That's what starts to get extinguished when outside, programming cannot come in, is the hope. And we're going to continue that via a different method. But they've been more than cooperative, great relationship with the state.
So as we look to our last question, what do you need from the community? How can those of us on the call today continue to support you in your work?
Well, I mean, you could, donate your car or your boat or your house. I mean, come on, man, give it up. I mean, you can go, you can donate, right? You can always donate. It's kind of the easiest way, right? For time commitment, but it also makes a big impact on what you do. It's spreading the word. It's dining. Dining is like the triple threat, right? You come in, you help us sustain financially. You give someone the opportunity to train. You spread the word. Your waistline expands. It keeps the doctors in business. And dining is probably the biggest thing. We do a lot with. We're really big on leadership and leadership training. We have a management training program. So we take 6 graduates. We pay them $40,000 plus a year. Benefits, and they run these facilities getting management experience, right? But there's also a mentorship component to that. So we have professional athletes come by to mentor and how to overcome a mistake and get right back at it and go focus. There's someone on this call that's going to have a way to perform at an elite level. Share your story, right? Come in, talk to us. So guest speakers are always welcome. But and then the last part I'd say is like donating like hard things like. We have family housing. We just started it. I know that we need a stove and a refrigerator, right? So we're going to buy it, but hey, if you got an old one, let's use it, right? So I think that those are simple ways you get involved. But the one thing you cannot do, Rachel, is say you can't. You cannot say, I don't have a skill. I'm an accountant. I'm 75. That's great. You survived a lot longer than a lot of us, and share some of your wisdom with us. Don't get out of the ring. You can still get in here. You can still do things. So don't not do something. And if it's not with EDWINS, do it with another organization.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much. Your work is inspirational, and I'm looking at the comments in the chat box. There are quite a few folks who are interested in becoming involved. So we will be sure to send links to your website in our follow-up email and encourage anyone who wants to become more involved to reach out and also dine out and help support the organization. Brandon, thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to pass it back to Marianne.
Thanks, Rachel.
And Brandon, we really missed the boat today. We should have all been sitting out in Shaker Square listening to you dining on lunch from EDWINS. So that would have been the best way to do this.
I got a bullhorn. We could have done the whole square. Got 1,100 yard reach.
There you go. Next time, we'll do it in the dead of winter.